That'll do that.
In these troubled times, it's nice to look forward to days like the one the Duke and I enjoyed a few years back on the River Severn. It's January, and the Severn's running high and quite cold. The day dawned bright and sunny, but cloud cover was forecast for the afternoon. Better news for our chances of today's target species, Barbel, the prince of the river. A really good fishing day should never be hurried in our book. With fresh bacon sandwiches and tea to start the day, we caught up on recent events and made our fishing plan. We're never in a hurry to start fishing for barbel, and at this time of year, afternoons and evenings are best. Starting at the top of the stretch, we walked down, noting the likely areas, dropped some bait into a few swims and made our way downriver. I love this part of the Severn and I've been fishing it since I was a kid. Since this was my home stretch of the Severn, I advised the Duke that in flood conditions, simple tactics were all that were required. No need for anything fancy, we rigged up with ledger tactics, and for bait, we used good old-fashioned luncheon meat, torn off in big chunks and impaled onto a size 4 hook. As the Duke set about rigging up, I took a walk down the bank to bait up a few likely swims. The Duke's swim was a cracker, nothing more than a gap between two bushes spaced a few metres apart, but, with the river in flood, a beautiful slack extended out from behind the upper bush. So convinced was I that the Duke would get a bite, I decided to sit and watch his first couple of casts, sip a cup of tea, which, as it turned out, was a mistake, because the tea in the end got wasted.
It's a nice one. It's just slipping away. Yes, well done, well done. Oh, I've had 2 minutes fishing. Well, got it. That's it, you got the hook. Yeah.
Well, that was nice, wasn't it?
Yeah. Put this down for you and I'll get your rod out of the way, mate. You have a look at your
thanks.
fish.
Perhaps you could put some bait in the other swim.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Well, that's a wonderful result. Really cold midwinter day, the river raging through, and I can't believe my luck. I've caught this wonderful barbel, and if ever there's a fish you're going to catch on a day like this, in these conditions, it's going to be a barbel. And it really is a fish that's designed for these sort of conditions.
Our day could not have got off to a better start. The Prince had put in an early appearance, and I was convinced that the best was yet to come. The next swim we approached was a double, allowing us to fish side by side and chat. As we sat chatting, the sunshine gave way to rain, but thankfully it didn't last long. As the clouds began to part and the light started to burst through, right on cue I had a bite, and I found myself into a fish that for a while at least went solid. Right from the off though, it just didn't feel right.
Well, do you know what this is?
It's a wriggler. It's an eel.
Yes, it is. Oh, I'm glad you're here actually, you can deal with this. Oh, look at it.
Oh, look at...
It's really, that's why I don't like them.
No, he's not in yet.
Oh, it's wrapping around my line, look.
I've got it. It's in.
Look at that.
Oh, lovely.
Well, actually, it's good in a way because they've been very scarce, haven't they, lately, eels?
Well, at one time we used to take eels to eat them, but they're quite scarce nowadays. There's nowhere near as many eels in the river as there used to be, and I suppose it's man's fault for taking them for eating. But they're looked upon as scavengers and predators, but I think they're a real asset to the water, and you know, they do keep the river clean, really. Well, I think it's quite well known that that they breed in the Caribbean, in the Sargasso Sea. Take about 3 years to come across on the Gulf Stream, and this one's probably been in the river, I don't know, I'm guessing 4, 5, 6 years. And you know, they do keep the river clean, really, mopping up any sick and dying fish. And I just think they're lovely.
To tell you the truth, I've never been a huge fan of eels, although I quite like eel fishing. It was certainly the last thing I expected on a January day. So the Duke had caught a prince and I bested an eel. Not exactly what I had in mind. We fished on, of course, touch ledgering in the gathering gloom, in my case desperate to feel that trembling sensation on the line that always precedes a solid pull from a barbel. Yet it was the Duke settled in behind another submerged bush who hooked a fish, but sadly it didn't end well.
It's a good fish too as well, isn't it? He's wrapped round something. Try from that angle down there, mate. Not moving.
No. That's absolutely solid.
Is it?
With the light fading rapidly, we fished on, in my case desperately willing the tip to go round. But sitting there, in the gathering gloom, line crooked across my index finger, I felt the life pulse of the river through my line, expecting a heart-stopping wrench at any moment. But it wasn't to be. An eel was what I had to be satisfied with. And besides, the chip shop beckoned. It might not have gone as planned, but it had been a perfect day really.